ever delivered a budget to this council. Subsequent to delivering that budget to the council, we had to find another $2.2 million because our dividend estimate went down. I don't disagree that we may or may not have some carryover come January. What really concerns me about Cherokee Nation and where we are in our fiscal situation is we have had the luxury of having a nice unreserved fund balance. We have been conservative in our spending practices, and we have seen revenue shoot up. Well, folks, revenue leveled out, and now it's gone down. If we continue to budget every penny we have, at some point people are going to spend it. And that point started in 2009. We're already $7.5 million into our fund balance for 2009. In prior years, we had a lot more carryover and unexpended fund balance to work with. This has been a difficult budget year, and the more we increase, we're going to have to dig and find somewhere to decrease. And a lot of the Gen Fund budget does go to services. There's water lines, there's community buildings, there's contract health, there's subsidies for the scholarships that come out of motor fuels tax. So just bear that in mind as we go through this process. We have spent a lot of time already cutting this budget.
Okay. Okay, the motion is that we take $300,000 for the Cherokee Commission in reserve and take it out of the advocacy initiative from the Attorney General's budget. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
And roll call, please.
Shelley, we need a call.
I got an apple in there, you want?
Okay, roll call, please.
Sarah Calvin Watt,
No.
Bill Anglin,
No.
Bill John Baker,
Yes.
Jack Baker,
No.
Harley Buzzard,
Yes.
Julia Coates,
No.
Brad McCobb,
No.
Joe Crittenden,
Yes.
Jody Fishinghawk,
Yes.
Meredith Fraley,
Yes.
Janelle Fulbright,
No.
Don Garvin,
No.
Chuck Hoskin Jr.,
Yes.
Hannah Glory Jordan,
Yes.
Chris Self,
No.
Curtis Snell,
Yes.
David Thornton.
Yes.
We have 9 yes and 8 no.
Okay. The motion passed. Okay. Now, by the way, in the future, please address all your comments to the chair rather than another council person.
I don't think we
It's the proper way to do it.
That is unless we're answering a question.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, there's been a lot of discussion here this morning about finding money for discretionary programs, whether it's direct service programs, governmental functions, or what have you. I want to reiterate that the general fund or tribal fund, the report I handed out yesterday, indicates all the budgets, okay, and gives you a 3-year history. The proposal by the administration for the general fund, Gen Fund has a $76 million budget, okay? If you want to know where to provide funding for general fund activities, we go to the general fund, and behind tab, the fourth tab of my report, the first 10 pages behind the fourth tab is a detail of all tribal programs funded out of that $76 million. Okay? So, I want to make sure that all the information is available to us again, this is a budget proposal. If the assumption is that the proposed budget will be funded for this 76 million as it is requested, then there's a problem identifying the funding. I agree. But you have to go to these 10 pages to find where you would provide the funding. As a courtesy in the past, we've allowed the administration to determine where to provide their trims in the budgets. But the 76 billion is being requested. So I guess my point is, I can't tell you where to go find money for initiatives that come out of the budget hearings other than these pages. Because this is all the programs that you'll see it total $76 million. And a lot of it is reserves, and a lot of it's capital expenditures, and a lot of it's government functionality, and a lot of it's direct services to the people. But that's where we need to be looking. If you're going to entertain initiatives in this hearing process, then that's where the funding would have to come from.
Just a point of clarification. Could you repeat what page you saw?
The fourth tab of the
Which
book
is
is level
discretionary.
3 discretionary reports, and the first 10 pages are nothing but general fund, or the tribal fund. As we go through the report, remember, I handed this one out yesterday. Very important report.
Do you have the extra?
Yes,
Extra what?
Jody.
Thank you. I left mine at home.
Can I have one?
This report, you can follow the groups. This report I handed out yesterday that has the carryover and highlighted. You can follow the group that we discussed. Every department, every budget. Okay? Any of them where the accounting unit begins with a 101. If the focus is on the tribal discretionary dollars, any budget that begins with a 101 is the general fund. And this will give you a 4-year history of whether they spent their, and this is just operating budgets. There's no capital reserves or transfers in here. Okay? So if you want to see where the excess budgets that remain unspent every year in operational budgets, by budget, not even by group, it's all the way down to the budget level. This is the report that I handed out yesterday. The 101s within each group. Ms. Jordan, you specifically asked for me to do something while I go through these groups. This is where I'll be focused on. Okay? So as long as I want all of us on the same page, so.
Got you.
Okay. Are we ready to go to the next group?
Point of clarification. So if I'm reading this right, just make sure I'm reading it right, Doug. On the first page of that comparison, where the chief's budget last year was $8.5 million, and he only spent $5.5 million.
Which one are you looking at? Okay, yes.
And in essence, going to have $3 million remaining, but this year he cut it by $1 million. But under that scenario, that's still going to be $2 million more than he spent last year.
Well, remember now, these are projections.
Projection, I
Okay,
understand.
and a lot of heavy
And
spending goes on at the end of the
It
year.
could happen, yes.
But this gives you this gives you a good rule of thumb. It gives you, the only soft numbers in here are the 09 projection. Everything else is audited or is being put before you in a budget proposal. Everything else.
Well,
The
okay.
only subjective numbers in here are the 09 projection and what's going to be remaining in 09 because I had to forecast out
All right, something that you're intimate with then, the council budget. How close to having a $1 million left are we?
I would predict we'll probably come in around 7
Okay.
because of the heavy spending on
Because of
community
heavy spending.
assistance. And I don't know what some of the attorney bills are for the legal assistance fund.
Okay.
Maybe 6, I don't know. You know, that's a fair, you know, and I would probably make that assumption of a discounting that remaining number across the board.
Across the board.
Because everyone does from what I can tell, almost all groups, they wait until they have 60 or so days, enough time in the procurement process to consummate the transaction, okay? Get right out to the end of the year. What are we? Where are we in our budget? What do we need? Do we need to upgrade computers? Do we need to upgrade equipment? Let's go out and make our procurement. But I don't, that's probably around 6.
Okay. Ms. Fishing Hawk, did you have?
Yeah, I got a question, and I guess it's addressed to Doug. Just explain this to me. I know from the last 2 years, there's been a lot of heavy spending going on the last month of the year before the budget runs out. And to be honest, how I see that is, let's get rid of the money real quick before we have to give it back. I don't care what it's spent on, let's just spend it on cars, let's spend it on this, that, or the other. How do you differentiate whether it's really needed or if they're just spending the money so they don't give it back?
With all due respect, I don't
You don't just spend money to spend it.
With all due respect, I don't differentiate. I don't have in-depth operational knowledge of those programs, so I'm in no position to criticize when or how they spend their money. You could come to some conclusions based on the timing of their expenditures or how much they have left over for the last 3 years.
Okay,
You can draw conclusions. But whether, that's probably
Okay, here's
valid
my-
option
okay.
to look.
Later, I would like to see the last 2 or 3 years, the percentage of their budget that gets spent August and September. Seems to me that a 12th of it would be spent in August, and a 12th of it would be spent in September. So, after the budget hearing, could you do that, give it tally? Because I'd kind of like to see that,
Sure.
you
Okay,
know. Thank you.
Our lunch is ready, and if there's no objections, we'll break until 12:30. Is there an objection?
I have one question. I need just a little clarification.
Okay.
Let's take example, Doug, charitable contributions under the chief's budgets on this little page right here. Where is it that you said you broke those down where we see what that actually is? Instead of it being just a lump sum, I know somewhere in here you broke it down.
No, I have that detail.
That's in Callie's part, okay.
Behind-
That's all I
it's the white
needed to
book
know.
under the chief's office.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. If there's no objections, we'll break until 12:30 for lunch.
Aye.
Was that an objection? Does that mean is that an objection?
I just gave you yes.
Oh, it's not worth too much.
If that's an objection, we can't.